Good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody. My name is Sarah, and yes, once again, every single video I post in the month of October, I'm doing a different cosplay. That's why I look like this. Today, you probably will not know this character, and that is because this is my original character, Ari. I made her for the Twisted Carnival OC storyline over on TikTok. The reason why I decided to do her today was all because we're talking about video games, and the Twisted Carnival is usually structured like a video game, so there was like no other option. I had to do her. So in today's video, we're basically just going to be talking about a bunch of video games that I like. So I need you guys to keep in mind I'm not a gamer, I just enjoy the storyline of these. And I'm going to be more or less recommending books based off of the feeling of the video game. So they're not going to be like direct one-to-one, don't like read one book and expect a video game to be just like it. It's more of just, I like this, and here's another thing that I like. And I hope these two can kind of match. So with that all being said, let's just dive on in. Starting off with a very popular game at the moment, Among Us. So this is a game where you and a bunch of friends, or strangers, depends, are all on a spaceship. Your job is to complete tasks and try and survive the game. But the catch is that one of you is an imposter and trying to kill the rest of the crewmates. Throughout the game, as people start to get murdered, it is your job as a crewmate to try and figure out who the imposter is and vote them off of the ship. However, the imposter is also trying to throw in deceit and deception to make you think it is one of your allies instead of themselves. So that alone is pretty awesome and amazing, and I wanted to recommend a murder mystery book for this, and that is One of Us is Lying. You kind of see like just the title there, it fits with Among Us. The story is set in high school. 5 kids enter detention, but only 4 walk out alive. And the students have to figure out who is the murderer because the police are not doing a good enough job at this. And I didn't really entirely love the story. My main problem was the relationships between the characters. However, like that concept, trying to figure out who among you is the murderer, like I have to recommend it with Among Us because like I already said, it just fits. Okay, next up we're talking about one of my favorite video games ever, and that is Subnautica. I don't even know how to describe this. So this is a story that kind of starts off open world adventure, and then you slowly realize it's a horror game. It opens up with your spaceship being shot down by some mysterious alien force, and you are the only survivor, and you're stuck on this mainly ocean world, trying to survive, trying to build a life there, basically not getting killed by the things in the ocean. But as you go deeper into the ocean, as you slowly start to discover the cracks and holes in the shallows that lead into a much deeper and darker world, you realize what has happened to the civilization on this alien planet, and why have you been the only one to survive the space crash. And it's just like, it's amazing and it's wonderful, and like your goal is to get off the planet but also discover the secrets of the planet, and like I love it so much. And to fit with this theme, I picked Welcome to Night Vale. I talk about this book literally any chance I get, but it's like one of my favorite stories out there. So Welcome to Night Vale is not really horror, but definitely horror, and that's kind of why I paired it together, because you don't realize kind of the creepy undertones that is in this satire book until you really start delving into what exactly is going on. This is a story of a town that, like, really anything can happen. Dragons run for mayor, and the street cleaning day is nothing more than a massacre. And in this town, the civilians live, and one day, someone new shows up. And that alone is strange enough, but this weird person, no one can remember the face of. They're just the man in the tan jacket with the deerskin leather suitcase. And 2 of our main characters, the single mother who's trying to raise a shape-shifting son, and the 19-year-old mortal, have to come together and try and figure out who this strange person is, leaving slips called the King City all around the town. And they try and find out where King City is and what exactly is going on. It's just amazing and awesome, and like, frankly, I love it. So yeah, that undertone of horror, that undertone of creepiness, something that just isn't quite right, that unsettling feeling, that's why I paired these two together. Next video game I want to talk about, I don't want to talk about the fandom, I only want to talk about the context of the game, and that is Undertale. The fandom is a little sus, but Undertale, the game, is amazing, it is beautiful. It's a story about our main character, Frisk, as they fall down from the mountain into the secret world of monsters, and there they realize like people are kind and sweet, and you have 3 options. You can either go the genocide route, you can go the pacifist route, or you can go the neutral route. So in the genocide route, you kill everyone. No one can be left alive. In the peaceful route, you can't kill anyone, not a single being. And in the neutral route, you end up like screwing up and accidentally killing 1 person. But it's just like, it's so amazing and so wonderful, that question of morality and like falling down into the monster world and realizing not everyone there is as bad as they seem, and like the questions of what exactly is going on. It's amazing. So I decided to pair this book up with City of Ghosts. This is a middle grade horror story where our main character can pass through the veil between living and dead, and they realize like not all ghosts are evil, but some definitely are, and that is the same case with Frisk and Undertale, where realizing most monsters aren't bad, but some of them really do want to cause you harm. There's also the fact that both of these stories deal with exploring new locations, exploring new places, and meeting people along the way who can teach you about yourself. So yeah, pretty awesome, pretty amazing. I just frankly love both of these. We're not going to talk about either fandom, but I love both of the contents. Next game is Uncharted. I feel like I had to throw this in because it was such a huge part of my childhood. Uncharted is basically a story of like trying to find some sort of adventure, mystery, treasure. It's kind of different depending on which game you play, but it's just amazing, and you play as thieves as they're trying to discover some mystery location, trying to save the world, or at very least get richer. It's pretty epic, and for that I decided to pair with Percy Jackson. You're trying to save the world, go on an adventure, finding a treasure. I mean, in this case, you don't get to keep the treasure, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I love this anyways. I feel like I don't need to explain either of these stories. Percy Jackson, the son of a Greek god, but like they don't know which one, and it's super crazy and super amazing. And then Uncharted is just like epicness, adventure, parkour, craziness, powers. Yeah. I have no way to say anything smart about either of these stories. I love them too much, and I feel like they're too obvious, but you know what I mean. Also going with something a little too obvious, Minecraft. Open world adventure has kind of an attribute of horror and survival. It's a world where you can do wherever you want. You're just a builder, you're just a creator, and sometimes you have to fight things, and other times you just want to live a peaceful life. And for that, I decided to pair the Adventure Zone. This is a D&D graphic novel, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful. It's just a bunch of people going on crazy adventures, trying to live their life, creating, and just being awesome. So yeah, it's just like, Minecraft's a bit more peaceful in tone, but like the creator and wonder aesthetic is definitely in both of these, and like it's so cool and so lovely. And also graphic novel has amazing, beautiful imagery, and there's something about Minecraft, like even though it's all like cubes, there's something so peaceful and so beautiful about it. Does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't, but I'm pairing these two together. I don't have much else to say, just like the last one, it just works. Next video game to talk about is Little Misfortune. So this, it's an indie horror game, right? So this is a story about a girl who's basically being lured away from her home to go on a magical adventure, but everything goes wrong around her. The narrator, Mr. Voice, is leading her on the way as crazy thing happens, and Little Misfortune just wants to find this fox that she is named Benjamin, who is trying to protect her, maybe? We don't actually know. So for this, I decided to pick Come Tumbling Down, or the very least Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which is the version I have. This is the sequel. Come Tumbling Down is the first book, or the prequel, but like it's... Okay. So this is in the Wayward Children series. Book 1 is kind of like the in-between book. You don't really need to read it, but you kind of need to read it. So the prequel is book 1 for this story because there's a bunch of other stories. And like, does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but this is amazing. This definitely has more of a horror vibe than the rest of this series. This is a story that follows a bunch of kids through doorway fantasies. This doorway fantasy just happens to be a lot darker than your normal one. It's the story of the morgue, a story of vampires and mad scientists as they try and survive. Like the twins Jack and Jill, who are both female in this, don't get confused, even though their name like already has connotations to it. Like they're their own characters, they just want to make it through alive, and like that's pretty amazing, that's pretty epic. Little Misfortune definitely has more of an upbeat storyline to it, or at the very least, like the character is much more naive and much more happy about what's going on. Like she literally throws sparkles everywhere. It's like, shut the amazing beautifulness. And then Down Among the Sticks and Bones is not that. People come back from the dead, and it's pretty awesome. But yeah, Little Misfortune, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, they just work together. Again, I'm not doing a very good job describing these, but I'm really basing the connections more off of the feeling than the actual story and plot line. I'm trying real hard here, but I'm only kind of doing it right. So this next one is totally based off of just the feeling alone. So the game is Untitled Goose Game, which is so amazing and so chaotic. It is just you playing as a goose as you go around and try and just annoy the townspeople's lives. You steal their shoes, you steal their silverware, you honk. It's great, it's amazing. I love it. And I'm pairing this with the book The House in the Cerulean Sea. This takes place in a magical orphanage where it's just the kids being chaotic and awesome and lovely, and there's tons of character development, there's tons of growth, and there's also like a queer relationship in this between the adults, and there's like the plots don't have anything to do with each other, but like just the chaoticness of like magical children and a goose. That's the best way to describe it. It's the goose aesthetic and the feeling of like just that chaos. Peace was never an option. The goose has a knife, everyone needs to run. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. And finally, the last video game / book recommendation is Cuphead. So this is the beautiful hand-drawn animation game where it's just a point and shoot. It's just a point and shoot boss battle, but it's so amazing and so epic. It is the story of two Cuphead things, I don't really know what they are, as they accidentally get into debt with the devil and have to go find other debtor souls and bring them in order to like repay or like pay off whatever. It's pretty awesome, it's pretty amazing. And there's like, I feel like this is such a stretch to recommend this book for it, but it's The Way of Kings. And I don't even know how to describe it, but like that feeling of a pointing shoot really works with Way of Kings. Way of Kings is big and complex and huge, and that's not at all what Cuphead is, but the idea of like going to war and going to battle and just fighting the way that Way of Kings is portrayed, it is. Like in the Shattered Plains where some of our main characters have to fight for their lives, that is Cuphead. You point and shoot and go and survive, and it's epic. There's not too much strategy involved in Cuphead, but there's so much strategy involved in Way of Kings. I shouldn't recommend these two together, but at the same time I feel like I have to. Mostly because I just want to talk about these two things again, so that's what I'm doing. I don't really have too much more to say on either of these conversations. Like, I really want to talk about these video games again, and I really want to talk about more books, because like, this is a booktube channel. This is what I do. So I guess that's kind of it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Once again, every Monday and Friday, I'll be back in a different cosplay. I know the month is almost over, but we still have a couple more videos to do. So you're welcome to guess what the next character is down in the description down below. Trust me, you'll know who it is. While you're down there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And as always, good night, good evening, and good morning, everybody.